Welcome to President of Technology at Salesforce, Srini Talapragada.
Hello everyone, welcome to the developer keynote. This is my favorite time of the year because I get to meet all of you in person and share all the amazing things we are doing to make it easy for you to build customer apps that people love. In this presentation, we're going to show you a lot of features that we have already released in Winter 18. We're also going to show you some features that we're planning for the future. So if you're planning to make any purchasing decisions, please make it based on what's available at salesforce.com. Most importantly, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for everything you do to bring amazing things to life on the Salesforce platform. I want to thank all our technology and product teams who work day in and day out to build the platform which makes that innovation possible. In the last year, I have seen countless examples of trailblazers help each other learn and give back in times of need. Thank you for inspiring us. Now, the Trailblazer community welcomes everyone. We are like a family, so we welcome you irrespective of your nationality, race, gender, orientation, or religion. Whether you're a seasoned developer like Dan Appelman, who is here. Dan, welcome to Salesforce and Dreamforce. Now, as some of you know, Dan was an experienced developer at Microsoft, but now he's built a great, successful business on the Salesforce platform. Or Bonnie, who is here. Bonnie, welcome to Dreamforce. Now, Bonnie restarted her career on the Salesforce platform after having taken some time off to raise her family. Or Ami Asiag, who again rebooted his career, having gotten his start as a COBOL programmer. So whatever your orientation, where you start on the platform, we still welcome you. Now, thanks to your amazing passion, I'm pleased to announce that the developer trailblazers are thriving, and Salesforce is the fastest growing enterprise software developer community. We got more than 4.3 million developers on the platform. More importantly, all of you have created more than 200 developer groups across 50 countries where you all get together, learn, have fun while advancing your careers. No other platform gives you that. The passion you show us makes us all work harder. Now, we also have great examples like Excella and Sterling, who are trailblazers on the platform. But who is a trailblazer and why are we here for? Trailblazers build customer apps that people love. All of you, in your mind, have an app that you love. Maybe you love travel and Airbnb is your app. Maybe you're a foodie and Yelp is your go-to app. Or you're a music fan and Spotify is your app. Or if you're like me, you have a long commute, Waze is your go-to app. So irrespective of that, what you'll notice about these apps is they're always improving. They're not constant, they're not the same way as when you downloaded them. They're always improving. They give you an integrated view of your data, and they give you intelligent notifications and suggestions to make you productive. And very important for all of us is they are built on a trusted and secure foundation, so you feel comfortable giving your data. So if you're a developer, what does this mean for you? Customers love apps that are delivered fast. Tammy is here. Tammy is a trailblazer. She works for Sierra Club. Tammy, welcome to Developer Keynote. Now, Tammy says, businesses are always changing and everybody needs their apps to keep up. I'm sure most of you are working for businesses which are going through a digital transformation, and you've heard from your CEOs and business leaders saying that the digital transformation is here. Now, all of you can really help in the transformation if you can build those apps and the business processes needed for your companies very fast. So you need a lot of tools and technologies to be able to do that. Customers love integrated apps. Vardhan is here. So Vardhan works for YouTube. He's a trailblazer. Vardhan says people want a single view of their data so that they can be more productive. But the reality for most of you is building that integrated view is not easy. We all know all the data is in different siloed systems in your organization, and it's very hard to string all of this together. So you need tools and technologies to help you make that integration easier. Customers love smart apps. Leah is here. She's a trailblazer. Welcome to Dreamforce, Leah. Leah says very aptly, because she works for Fitbit, smart apps motivate you and help you to your best. Yesterday, we talked about the fourth industrial revolution. Mark talked a lot about it. The fourth industrial revolution is all about AI technologies. And we all know it's going to impact us huge in our personal life, but also in your careers. So if you're a developer, how do you use these technologies easily so you can build apps which are smart? So today, we're going to show you how you can blaze your trail and build customer apps that people love. We'll show you how you can build those apps faster, how you can integrate them easier, and how you can make them faster, make those apps smarter. And to show you how to build apps faster, I'd like to welcome Wade Wagner, our Vice President for Salesforce Platform, to the stage. Wade.
Thank you. Thank you, Srini. It is awesome to be here today. This is without a doubt my favorite part of Dreamforce, being able to spend time with you, being able to geek out a little bit. We're gonna look at some code, and we're gonna take a look at a lot of the great capabilities in the platform, and especially things that we've released in Winter 18. And so as Srini mentioned, we have to build apps fast. None of us in this room can afford to take time and to not deliver continuous value to all of our customers. And so all of this starts with the Salesforce platform, where there's a full spectrum of capabilities from no code all the way to code. And it's centered around our multi-tenant platform, where we manage your infrastructure and we deliver updates continuously, where we also are providing new capabilities 3 times a year, rich updates to the platform. It also includes our metadata-driven model, a platform that allows you to use rich builder tools to build apps no matter whether you're a low-code developer or you work in code all day long. And it also lets you as teams work together to continuously deliver using tools you love and processes that your teams have adopted. It also includes the #1 enterprise marketplace in the world, and that is the App Exchange, where you can get applications that have been pre-built by amazing partners, or you can get components that you can use in your own custom apps. Now, we have not been idle here in Winter 18, and so I want to give you a few updates on some of the great things that we've delivered. You may have seen in the keynote yesterday, Parker talked about dynamic lightning pages. We're gonna show this in action, and it provides an amazing way for you to create declarative experiences that'll customize the way that your lightning apps render. Includes page templates, custom page templates that you can build as developers that all of your end users can use and really delight the experience that they have in the way with which those applications render. We have got a ton of new Lightning components available in Winter 18. We're gonna see a lot of them in the demos coming up here shortly. And then of course, Visualforce pages, you can automatically get updated so that it's taking advantage of the Lightning design system, richly rendering all of those controls in a way that looks just like the Lightning applications. Now in Heroku, we've also made a lot of updates, and if you're building applications that combined apps running in Heroku as well as in the Lightning platform, that data synchronizes back and forth 5 times faster than it did in the past using Heroku Connect. And if you're building applications that require compliance, HIPAA, PCI, you can do that now using Heroku Shield, building it and using it along with the rest of the apps you're building on the Lightning platform. Now last year, we got to introduce you all to Salesforce DX, and thank you all for the amazing reception. It's been awesome working with you. We've had a preview, a pilot, and a beta, and we GA'd it here in Winter 18. And I also want to say a big thank you to the engineering team that did an amazing job across all sorts of areas, pulling together an amazing developer experience. Now in Winter 18, we've got a bunch of new capabilities as well. One of the things I'm most excited about is our next generation packaging technology. And so whether you're an ISV or a customer, you can use this packaging technology to distribute your applications, to package it up, to version it, to be able to deliver it into your environments, whether it's sandbox or production. So definitely take a look at this next generation packaging technology. We've also introduced updates to Scratch orgs that are gonna allow you to create a Scratch org that reflects the shape of your production environment. So if you're a developer, you can be confident that everything you have enabled in production exists and is enabled in that Scratch org so that you can test and you can build with confidence. And we've also made a bunch of updates and provided a rich set of language services that are lighting up all kinds of experiences and developer tools, whether it's the command line interface, the IDEs and extensions we build, or what our partners build. And so we're gonna talk about them a little bit today. Now, to show how all of this comes together, I wanna introduce you to an amazing trailblazer, the Caribou Center. Now, the Caribou Center is an organization that is changing lives and empowering people in rural Kenya, and they're doing this through high-tech agriculture. Their mission is to provide education to children, and in doing so, provide ways with which their parents can end up getting employed and really trying to change the dynamic of how that family structure exists. Now, the Caribou Center is sustainably funded by a social enterprise called Organic Savannah. And what Organic Savannah does is it ends up harvesting crops that are grown locally, aloe vera, and produces soaps and lotions that they then sell and fund all of the efforts and the mission of the Caribou Center. And in doing so, they're also providing jobs to the families and to the parents of the children in that program. And so they're really taking advantage of the Salesforce platform in order to build apps and to build apps fast. They're using it to connect students and parents together. They're using it to track how harvests are doing in the fields. And they're also using it to sell their products to distributors as well as individuals. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look at that second use case. We're gonna see how the Caribou Center is using the Salesforce platform to manage their harvests and to track their crops. So we're gonna start in GitHub. And GitHub is where the source of truth, where the application that the Caribou Center is being built. Now they're using source-driven development with Salesforce DX. And so as part of this, they're creating Scratch environments. They are deploying their source back and forth. They're using continuous integration and a whole bunch of other things. Now, last year, we highlighted how you can use the command line interface to drive all of this. And one of the great parts about that architecture is it really accelerates the way that our partners, our tooling partners, are creating amazing experiences in the tools. Here you can see the Illuminated Cloud, which is a tool built by Scott Wells, and it's an extension to IntelliJ, providing all the rich capabilities that you'd expect for Salesforce. It's got IntelliSense, syntax highlighting, code navigation, as well as a command palette that interacts with all the commands and capabilities that the CLI and Salesforce DX take advantage of. Now, the other thing I want to highlight is that the Caribou Center is using this new capability with Scratch orgs to create a Scratch org that looks exactly like their production environment. And so here you can see the source org ID so that when we create the Scratch org, it is an exact copy of that production shape. So let's go ahead over and switch to the application. Here we've got it running in a Scratch org, and I want to highlight a couple of really exciting new capabilities in Winter 18. Now, on the left, you see all of the fields organized by crops. And so when we expand that, you can see all these fields. This is a brand new control, a Lightning component available in Winter 18, the tree view. And you can interact with it. Notice on the right, it's lighting up that pane, and we can see all the details related to that field. One of the things on the right I want to call out is we've got this ability now to expand and collapse different parts of the screen to take best advantage of the real estate. And we're using another new Lightning component available in Winter 18, and that is the accordion control that you can use to provide this capability. Now, if we look back on the left, not only can we render these fields in a tree control, we can also list it as a rich data table. And that is using yet another new Lightning component available in Winter 18, and that is the data table, where we can multi-select many rows, and then we can go ahead and provide an action. So if we click an action, we can apply this to all of the rows at the same time. Notice here now, we can further refine all the fields that we've selected using yet another new Lightning component available in Winter 18, and that is the dual list box. Now remember I said we've got a lot of new exciting Lightning components here, and so these are 4 that I think you're all gonna love. So we can go ahead and submit this. Now you see how this ends up in an end user experience. Let's go ahead and switch back to our code and take a look at what this looks like for a developer. It's really pretty straightforward. Here you can see we've got a line of code, or maybe 4 lines of code, but one line of code representing the data table and everything about it. Below we've got a Lightning tree control. We can also specify details about what that's going to be rendering. And then if we flip over, we can take a look at the dual list box, yet another line of code. And so all of this comes together to provide some pretty rich capabilities that we can use for our end users. Now, if we go back to the application, one of the things that I want to highlight is that the Caribou Center is not only using these Lightning components, they're also building very rich custom Lightning components. Here you can see the same data, the same fields, but now we're rendering it as a custom Lightning component as a rich map where we can interact with the fields, and we can also see some information about it based on the color, the rendering of it. Here you can see a field that needs some attention. You can see the alert on the right, the irrigation level is below threshold. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna toggle this button right here, and we're gonna go ahead and turn on the irrigation. We're gonna provide some water to this field. Notice when we toggled that, we got an overlay on the custom component on the left. We see that label that is now overlaid on there. How is this working? How are we, through an action on this right pane, updating the left? Well, we're doing it taking advantage of the Lightning Data Service. So why don't we switch back to our code and see how this is working? Now, the Lightning Data Service is also GA in Winter 18. And you can see here we've got one tag, a record data that's been set here. We've specified an ID that we're going to refer to later, service. And then we've also specified all the fields that we're interacting with, including, if we move over a little bit to the left, you'll see irrigation. So when we toggle that control, we're saving the record. And the Lightning Data Service is updating all the Lightning components. Here you can see the JavaScript where we're actually saving that record, where we're using, again, that service ID, and we're going to go ahead and save that record. And so again, all those Lightning components can receive that updated information and render accordingly. So let's now switch back to the application and want to highlight a couple of additional things that are exciting here in Winter 18. Now here's a field that needs some attention, right? If we click the detail, we can look at all the details of that field and notice how in this view, it's not really calling out to us that there's something that we need to do. So why don't we go ahead and edit that page, and let's render another control that alerts us to something that we need to do. We need to take action on this field. Now, what we're gonna do is we don't want this alert on every single field. So we're gonna create a filter that if the status is not okay, it's gonna go ahead and render that component. Now, this is taking advantage of dynamic Lightning pages so that based on the data for that record, we can arbitrarily decide what renders and what doesn't. So let's go ahead and save this and go back. And then notice how on the record that we've got selected, it's got the alert. So we know that there's something we need to do. If we select another field where everything is okay, that component doesn't render. So dynamic Lightning pages provides a really great declarative experience for rendering how those pages, get rendered. Now, another thing that's exciting here is the ability to create new types of templates. So with Winter 18, we've introduced new custom Lightning templates. Notice how on this page we can toggle off that right pane. With that button, we can turn it on and off. We've done this by creating a custom Lightning template that our end users can end up creating. And so how do we do this? What enables this? Well, it turns out that a custom template is nothing more than a Lightning component. So let's switch back to the code and see how it is that this works. Notice here in the top, we've got a couple of attributes, left and right. These represent the two different panes that we're rendering on this page. And then below, we've got some additional layouts here where we're specifying, again, that left and right. This is where the components are gonna end up getting rendered. So in addition to this, we've got a design file, and that design file specifies some of the layouts for the Flexi pages. So all of this comes together to create a pretty simple, straightforward custom template, and hopefully you can imagine how you can create some pretty sophisticated layouts here using this capability. Now, you also may have noticed we're in a different IDE. We're using a different tool. And what we wanted to do is highlight the fact that working with these language services that the teams are building, we can really light up some fantastic developer experiences in different IDEs and in different editors and different tools. And you can see all of the same sorts of things. Here, this is Visual Studio Code, and we've got a full panel of capabilities that are gonna end up invoking commands available in Salesforce DX. Now, we made a change in that Scratch org, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull those changes now out of the Scratch org. We're gonna invoke this command, and only the things that we have changed and only the customizations we've made in that Scratch org are gonna come back out so that we can use this now and commit it into our source control. Once we've pulled it now, we can go ahead and commit it and push it back into the repo. And what's awesome is the Caribou Center is going that next step, and they've got continuous integration set up, listening to changes in this repo. So here you can see in Circle CI, we've got builds representing the application that the Caribou Center has created. And if we go into one of those builds, we can show you exactly what is running. Here in this config, notice that it's doing a lot of the things that we as developers are doing ourselves. It's creating a scratch org, it's running tests, it's pushing source, it's deleting the scratch org when it's done. But the one thing I really want to highlight is that last command, and that is the Caribou Center is creating a next generation package, a package that they'll then use to install into their sandbox environments as well as their production environments. And so all of this comes together, these updates with Winter 18 for Lightning, Salesforce DX to drive continuous delivery, and packaging in order to distribute to help the Caribou Center build apps fast. And so with that, pass it back to you, Srini.
Thank you, Wade. So you have seen how with source-driven development and second-generation packaging is going to really supercharge your development experience. So especially if you have been on the Salesforce platform for some time, this is something you should definitely check out. The new language service support allows you to use the IDE of your choice. Dynamic pages and page templates are going to allow you to create very complicated UIs with very little code. And also, we are also, of course, giving you support for more base components so you can really customize the experience as you want. So we have seen how you can build apps faster. Now, to show you how to integrate apps easier, I would like to welcome Zane Turner, our lead developer evangelist, to the stage. Zane.
Awesome. Thank you, Srini. Hello, Dreamforce. It is an honor to be here with all of you. So many mentors and friends I'm seeing in the audience. When I started building applications on the platform, my role had nothing to do with development or even Salesforce. I was just the person in the office figuring out how we could make Salesforce do what we needed it to do. And when I started writing code, it was the same thing. I was just the person figuring out, how do we get that data that's outside of Salesforce inside Salesforce? And I think that's something we all have in common as Salesforce developers, that we're trying to solve the toughest problems facing our companies. And as Srini said, so many of those difficult problems involve integration. But as Salesforce developers, we know we're building on a platform that lets us deliver that single view of the customer because we can pull data from sales or service, commerce, community, marketing, and more to give that single view for our companies. And when we need to pull data from other sources, we have an advantage because we can integrate our apps easier with the platform, because the platform gives us options. We can use no-code solutions like Salesforce Connect or Heroku Connect or the new External Services Wizard, which we're going to look at. Or we can build custom API-based integrations using one of the many ones provided for us by the platform, or we can build our own. And now all of us can base our apps on a foundation of modern, event-driven architecture, which means we can completely rethink how we're connecting Salesforce to other applications and even our devices with the new IoT Explorer, which we're also going to look at. But I want to take a second and talk about how event-driven architecture works, because this is a new concept for many of us building on the platform. And we have our platform event bus here with some familiar faces to get us started. And we can think about this event bus really as a service. It's a service that gives your applications the power to publish and subscribe to events. And we can think about events like a message. When something important to your business is happening, your application can record details about what's happening and then send it out to the event bus. And the event bus can make sure that any other application in your system that might be interested in those details gets it in real time. And it's this power to publish and subscribe across independent applications that means you can build applications that can integrate to any system. You can build applications that can scale to handle millions of events per day. And you can build applications that stop having to rely on integrations that actually lock your systems together and can break with even small changes. Does that sound all right? Yeah, I'm seeing some smiles. Well, it's one thing to understand this power, and it's another to see what it does when we build. So let's bring back up this Caribou app. Okay, so Wade showed us this field map component, but what I think is really cool is what's behind it, because what's behind this is an integration. There are sensors out in all of those harvest fields that are gathering moisture data, and they're sending that data back into Salesforce through an integration that's powered by platform events. So if we go into setup and we look for platform events, we can see that Caribou is running their business on several different kinds of platform events. And we're gonna go into this moisture sensor event first. Now the shape of it right here, it's pretty simple. We've got some identifying information and a level. That's our moisture reading. But because this is coming in from a device, we can actually use IoT Explorer to work with this event and take action in real time. So when we search with IoT, you can see already in setup several options, and we can drill straight into orchestrations. And you could think about orchestrations as the processes you build in IoT Explorer. So if we go into our field moisture orchestration, right here on the traffic tab, this is a real-time view of what's happening with our devices. And we've made 3 categories or states to make sense of what our devices are telling us. And for Caribou, they're measuring irrigation. So their states relate to irrigation. We see normal, severely dry, dry. And they defined those states, those categories, on the rules tab. So when we drill in there, there's a lot happening. We've defined our states to make sense of our data, and now we can take information coming in from our platform events, as well as business logic in Salesforce, to create a condition that then will trigger an action. And our action right here is dealing with a custom field. It's our status pick list, and that's what our Lightning component can then use to present that accurate color to users in real time based on real data coming in from platform events. But platform events do even more for Caribou than connect them with these devices. As we heard, they power their mission of educating and empowering communities through social enterprise. They sell organic products to individuals and distributors. So I want us to look at how they use Salesforce to connect with their distributors. So when we go back out into the Caribou Salesforce app, we're gonna drill into that product bundles object. And I want us to make one right here together. We'll pull one pretty quickly. We're gonna give it a description like soaps and lotions, and you'll see why. Now that we're on the Lightning page, I can tell you, this is how Caribou brings their products to distributors. They create these different combinations. And thanks to the power of custom Lightning components, you can see we've made a bundle very quickly here together. And our next step now should be to submit this to our distributors, to fire off that integration. But at this point, I don't know what technology our distributors are running. I don't know if we're gonna add 1 or 3 or 5 more distributors tomorrow. So as developers, how do we build an integration for a system we know nothing about that may change tomorrow? Sure, no one's ever asked you to build that kind of integration, right? Yeah, never. This is exactly the kind of integration we can build with platform events. We can have Salesforce publish an event when we change the status of this record. And we can have our distributor app or apps listen for this event and then process it in whatever way makes sense for their technology. And we have a distributor app that we can show you. So let's bring that up. This is an independent app. It's written in Node.js, and it's actually running on Heroku. So we see already a few bundles are here. And let's bring Salesforce now up in a side-by-side, because I want you to keep your eye on this distributor app. Look at that list of bundles, and now we're gonna go in and change the status in Salesforce. And when we do, in real time, yes, that's a huzzah moment, right? In real time, independent applications are exchanging information. But we didn't just get a notice that something changed. We can drill into this. We sent over information. This bundle is now here. As a distributor, I can look at this and I can immediately tell if I want to order this bundle. And now keep your eye on the path component in Salesforce, because I'm going to go ahead and order this right now. That real time back in Salesforce, that's Salesforce responding to an event that occurred in an independent application. Let's go see how we did that. If we go back into Salesforce, and this screen might look familiar to 1 or 2 of you. What is this right here? This is Process Builder. I heard it called out. Yes, exactly. Because in Winter 17, you can now listen for platform events in Process Builder. We're triggering a process off a bundle ordered platform event. And now we know that platform event was created by our distributor app, right? So let's go look at the code for that app. I want you to see what publish and subscribe looks like over here in our distributor app. So as I said, it's written in Node.js. And the code that Renee is highlighting so beautifully for me, thank you, Renee, is our subscription event. We're listening for our bundle submitted _E. That's the API signature of a platform event, a _E. And the rest of this function is just setting that payload, that information that we brought over from Salesforce into the UI. And if we scroll even further down, there's our bundle ordered event. There's the one that's being created by this application. And we can see that the shape of the rest of this function is a lot like creating a custom object. You're pulling information from the app, you set it as a field value on this platform event, and then we call create. Publish and subscribe in an external app. But Caribou needs to do more with their distributors than just send back and forth order information. They need to know inventory. We need to know what's selling. And this app already has an API for that. So let's go look at a raw invocation of this API. We're gonna go to the inventory endpoint. And you can see we passed in a product name. That M- series of numbers is our product name. And we're getting back a well-formed JSON object as a response. And I'm sure many of us in this room have taken just such a RESTful API and built it into Salesforce so that users can get at it. We can build custom integrations with this platform. And in fact, this app has made it easier for us because they've used a tool called Swagger, which is a framework for taking your APIs and then generating a schema or a quick description. So here we can see we're looking at that inventory endpoint we just went to. And now we know what kind of information do we need to pass in and what kind of information can we expect in return. Now, wouldn't it be great if we could take this Swagger definition file and have an integration already built for us in Salesforce? Well, you can. That's the power of the new external services wizard. Yeah, that's awesome. So let's go back into setup because I want to show you. You can find this now under integrations. So when we go into integrations, we have our integration here because we passed part of the URL of our Swagger definition file. And then when we drill into actions and view all our actions, you can see we have the same awareness of that API as our Swagger definition file now, right here in Salesforce. But even better, the Apex that was generated for us by the wizard is dynamic and it's invocable, which means you can get at it quickly in Visual Flow. So if we go back out into the Caribou app and we go to our distributor inventory tab, we have a flow interview waiting for users. They can enter a product name. And when we hit next, because we're in Flow, we can have custom business logic. We could say check for a stored response before we go hit that API. And when we hit next, we can get the response right here in the Flow interview a user's already working in. This is the power of an external service right here for your users. But you know, we can make this even better. Let's go into the Lightning App Builder. Let's edit this page. We have one standard flow component on the page, so why not two? And when we save, you'll see why we picked this other awesomer inventory check. We have our two flows side by side, and the one on the right looks a whole lot different, doesn't it? It's because this flow is using a new power in Pilot in Winter 18 that lets you put your custom Lightning components as screens in a flow interview, which means you can let users search by a word like aloe rather than a product serial number. You can show them a picture of the products. And when we hit next, we're still in flow. We can still have our custom business logic. And when we hit that API, we can get the response as an attribute right there for our Lightning components, showing users a great, quick visual. And all of this, whether it's external services being closer to your users or connecting independent applications with platform events, is power you have right now to integrate your apps more easily with Salesforce. So thank you. And Srini, I think it's high time I send this event right back to you.
Thank you, Zane. So you have seen Zane explain how to integrate apps easier. Platform events let you to build these event-driven architectures. As developers, we always want to build loosely coupled but highly coherent architectures, systems, and that's what platform events gives you. You've seen how you can now integrate your device data easily with IoT Explorer. You've seen how we support Swagger-based APIs with External Services Wizard. And I think the Lightning component with Flow is like a very powerful combination. Suddenly, you have the Flow comp, which is very powerful, which drives all your UI, but you could put Lightning components, which means that you can really drive complex UIs with business logic. You've seen how you can build compliant PCI, HIPAA, compliant applications on Heroku and integrate into your systems. And that's not more. There's a lot more you can find, and that's how you make integration of these apps easier. So we've seen how you can build apps faster, how you can integrate those apps easier, and now we want to show you how to make apps smarter. And to show you how to make apps smarter, I would like to invite the one and only Leah Megan Hare to the stage.
Thank you, yay! Yes, I absolutely love this keynote because I get to get I get to pull my sleeves up and get my hands dirty with code. I was told I wasn't supposed to say that, but I said it. But I love looking at code, and I love looking at code with my Ohana. So let's talk about building smart apps. We all love smart apps. Think about your favorite app. It probably is your favorite app because it's smart. I know for me, like my phone, if I'm driving, it automatically locks because it knows I'm driving. That's smart. Or Waves that Srini talked about. It tells you how to get from point A to B and the quickest route. And it takes into real-time consideration if there's an accident or something, it will automatically redirect you. Those are smart apps. Well, you can make apps smarter on the platform. And you really need 3 things to do this. With Einstein, 1, language. Understand customers' sentiment. What do they mean by using the Einstein Sentiment API? Or the intent. What are they trying to do? Are they looking for service? Are they looking to purchase something? With the Einstein Intent API. And then you can build on that Intent API to create bots, which are pretty amazing, and you're gonna see this shortly. Second, vision. You can do object detection as well as image classification using the Vision APIs. And third, data. You can do predictions as well as analyze data using Einstein Discovery to surface any kind of insights in your data. And those really 3 things will make your apps smarter. So let's dig a little deeper into two of the newer products. 1, Einstein bots. Now, these are pretty cool. So for my developers, you guys think about this. Think of making your APIs conversation enabled so that your end users are actually talking to your APIs, right? That is a lot of power. And what you can do is once you create this framework of the bots, you can extend the functionality using Apex code. And we're gonna actually have an example of this. Once you create those, you can then integrate them into your web and mobile apps using the Service Cloud snap-ins. So you'll see this momentarily. Also, Einstein Prediction Builder makes creating predictions easier. It is super powerful. You can work it on standard objects as well as custom objects. Now, once you have those predictions, it's just like any other data. You can put them in your Apex code, your flows, your integrations, really powerful. So you guys tired of me talking about it? You guys actually want to see it? You want to see it, right? Well, give it up for Christoph and Renee on the 1s and 2s back there driving the demo. So they're going to pull this up. Oh, wait, pause. Take a picture of this URL because you are going to want to get to Einstein Prediction Builder after. Where's your cameras? I'm telling you, you want a picture of that because you're going to want to get to it. Yes, you want to get your hands on this. All right, now let's jump into the demo. All right, so for Caribou, it's really important that they understand or can predict how much aloe they're gonna harvest. Now, in agriculture, that's referred to as their yield. This helps to plan their product production. But as you can imagine, predicting yield is not an easy thing to do. But with Einstein Builder, we make it a bit easier. So here, we're gonna go ahead and create a prediction. So we're gonna go into Prediction Builder, and we're gonna go ahead and say New Prediction, and we're gonna give it a name, right? We're gonna call it Yield Prediction. And then we're gonna go ahead and click on Get Started. Now, you gotta choose which object you wanna do the prediction off of, so we're gonna choose Harvest. And then we wanna say, what field are you trying to predict? Well, we wanna predict the yield. So we're gonna select that and click Next. And then Einstein will automatically select the fields to use in the prediction. The more fields, the more data, the better your predictions. And you're gonna go ahead and click Next. And then you're gonna choose which field do you wanna store this prediction in. We wanna store it in predicted yield. And then we're gonna click Next. And then we're gonna click Build. And that's it. Now, what happens is Einstein creates an algorithm that identifies patterns in the existing harvest records. Now, it is an asynchronous process, so it takes a while. But this is kind of like a cooking show. We already got one pre-baked for you. So we're going to actually pull up a prediction that we already have. And here is an we're going to go look at Allo Field. So we'll pull up an Allo Field record, and here you can see that the prediction ran 12.5 tons of aloe. Now, once we have that prediction, you can then use that data to derive other information, such as how many bars of soaps can we make from that yield. That's useful. Now, if we're gonna have 12.5 tons of aloe, we need to keep our fields, our aloe fields, healthy. In order to do that, that truly is a collaborative effort. And we're gonna go ahead and use Quip to collaborate with the field supervisors, all of the office people, all of our maintenance people, our subcontractors, so that we can keep these aloe fields healthy to produce 12.5 tons of aloe. So let's go ahead and open up that Quip doc. So in here, Quip, you can see what's super great about Quip now, you can incorporate live apps, which are JavaScript components, directly into the Quip canvas. They also offer right out of the box, such as this calendar, live apps available to you. And you can use Lightning components inside of the Quip canvas using Lightning Out. So here you see a Kanban view that's also out of the box live app. But we're gonna pull in the custom app of the map that you saw Wade show earlier of all of our different fields, aloe fields, pumpkin fields, right? So this is a great visual. So now this is fed by live Salesforce data. So if something changes in my Salesforce org, it's automatically updated here in Quip and vice versa. Let's look at an example of this. So what's gonna happen is we have our field supervisors are out in the fields looking at the aloe plants and making sure they're healthy. And they're using their mobile, their My Salesforce app. Now, if you notice, it is branded with Caribou's icon. That is My Salesforce. They're gonna open it up and they're gonna go to Chatter. Now, in there, they're looking and they're doing their inspection and they come across a very suspicious looking plant. That's beyond suspicious to me, right? So we're gonna go ahead and take that. Now here's a couple things. I want you to keep one eye on the map and one eye on the Chatter post. Before we submit, we're gonna @mention Einstein and we're gonna click submit. Now 2 things are gonna happen, right? One, immediately I get a feedback from Einstein saying, that's an unhealthy plant, to say the least, right? That is an unhealthy plant. That was the Einstein Vision API, classified that image as unhealthy, and then updated our map. So if you notice that the aloe field on the Quip map turned red, so everybody's on alert, right? This is collaboration at a whole new level right here. Now this is amazing. Now what you just saw was an example of how Caribou is using the Einstein Vision API to run their business. I want to show you another example of how they're using the Einstein Intent API. So let's go ahead and pull up their amazing e-commerce site. So this is the next generation e-commerce site powered by Commerce Cloud. And if you see on the lower right-hand side, we have chat, which is our Service Cloud snap-in here, and it's a chat bot. So if I put in my information and start a session, a chat, the first dialogue that comes up is the welcome dialogue. And in here, I can either choose from the menu or I can put in text. So I'm gonna put in a text. I'm gonna say, hey, where's my order? and it's gonna come back and say, I don't know. Well, that's not very smart, okay? That might be an answer I get from my teenager, but not something I expect from Einstein. So let's go ahead and modify that so it's a little bit more smart. So we're gonna actually configure this. So we're gonna pull up the bot, the chat bot here, and we're gonna edit this. Now, when we go in, I want you to think of everything in our chat box is couched around dialogues. So when we first came in, the first dialogue I saw was the welcome dialogue. But how did it know to go to that order dialogue? Well, it's about intent. What happens is the bot uses natural language processing to analyze and identify what your users are trying to do. So you train it on some simple phrases. You have to provide some simple phrases, and then you train the bot on the phrases. Now, powered behind it, this is powered by the Einstein Intent API. And then your intent will route it to an action. So if we look at the action, we have it routed to I don't know. Not quite what we want. So we're gonna go ahead and deactivate this, and then we're gonna delete that action and add an action that's a little bit more helpful. So we're gonna go ahead and choose the action of run script. Now, what we want to happen is, if I'm a user and I type in where's my order, I wanna see a list of all my orders. And then I wanna be prompted for what order are you interested in? And I can select the order and then give me the status. In order to do this, the first thing we wanna pull up is which Apex method. This is an invocable method. Now we're choosing the label name of the method, not the method name, because we want this to be user friendly. It could be a non-dev person configuring this. So we're gonna go ahead and choose that label. And then we have the input parameters. So this Apex method has a string input parameters, and we're gonna bind that with a slot. I want you to think of slots as variables. So we're gonna go ahead and choose the chat key. The live agent session ID. Now this live agent session ID also has the contact information in there. So we can run a SOCL query, pull back all the orders without having to ask the customer for additional information, because that is very useful, right? You don't want to be asked a bunch of questions. So then we return back the list of orders. So let's actually jump and look at the Apex code quickly. So here's our Apex class. And we have the @invocation method here, invocatable method. And then we have our input parameters of strings. And then we're gonna do our return, right? And here's our SOCL query that populates the orders, and we put it into a variable called results. So it's Apex. You guys have seen this. And you just use the annotation of invocable method. You can use it in your chatbot. So let's jump back over. So now that we have the list of orders, what do we want to do? We want to give it to the users. So we're going to go ahead and say, we want to ask them a question. Here's your list of orders. Which ones are you interested in? So we're going to go ahead and put out there our orders. And then they're going to choose it. And then once they choose the one they're interested in, we want to provide the status of the order they're interested in. So we're going to do a send response. So we have a couple of actions here, right? And we're going to do a send response of curly bracket bang. You guys have seen that notation before, right? That's binding. And here I'm getting the order status of that particular order they're interested in. Awesome. So now we want to save it. Then we want to activate this. And then we actually want to go out there and test this and see if this thing really works. So now let's try this again. Where is my order? And it comes back and it says, I'm thinking about it. And it says, here it is, right here. Here's your order. You have 2 items. Then I say, I'm interested in, I don't know, either one, aloe soap. I can choose. I'm going to select the first one, and it's telling me, here it is, 12 days. In 12 days, you're going to get your aloe soap. So yes, that is what a smart app does. So what you've just experienced is how you can make apps smarter and create apps that your customers love. Back to you, Srini.
Thank you, Leah. So you've seen how you can make apps smarter with Einstein. So we've shown you how you can blaze your trail by building customer apps that people love. We've shown you how to build apps faster, how to integrate those apps easier, and make those apps smarter. We've seen the Caribou application, and I would like to invite Luke Kincaid, founder and board of directors, Caribou Center. Hey.
Thank you, Srini. Amazing crowd here.
Welcome to Dreamforce.
Thank you so much. So this is,
Tell me, how
Look
is
at
it
it- look at
going
this
at
crowd.
it's
This is
a great
amazing.
crowd. So how is it going at Caribou Center?
well, this has been an incredible journey. The Caribou Center is a social enterprise in action. What does that mean? We are a business which is doing good. So as you've heard the presentations, we have fields of aloe vera. We're creating handmade products. We're creating lotions and soaps. And we're exporting these to the US. We're exporting these to Europe. And all of that is funding our operations. Now, what makes this unique? Are we just selling soap? Where's the impact? Well, the core mission of our work is actually to empower communities. We want to uplift communities, and we're doing that through education, and we're doing that through empowering parents. So we're educating kids, we're empowering parents, we're uplifting the communities, trying to uplift them out of poverty.
So how is Salesforce helping you?
Well, it's been an incredible partnership. We are actually, so the amazing thing is that we're very happy to announce today that as of today, we have funded sustainably an entire 12 months of operations for our programs in Kenya through social enterprise. And the app has been an incredible part of that. So through the sales of Organic Savannah products, we are funding jobs in Kenya, we're funding STEM education, we're funding coding clubs, we're funding preschools, and all of that is sustainably funded, self-funded through our social enterprise. Now, the Salesforce app streamlines all of those operations. So we can track the sales and distribution, we can track the soil moisture in our fields, and we're doing that through Salesforce. Now, there's a lot of sophistication in the background happening through trailblazers, like many of you here, through developers, and there's a lot of code, sophisticated code, which is developed to bring the technology to life. But for us on the ground, really the benefit is that it streamlines the operations and helps us do what we do best, which is creating impact in the community.
So do you have a message for the audience? Like, is there any takeaway that you want to say?
Yeah, so what can you do for us today? Well, Salesforce has started it off.
Okay.
Thanks to Salesforce.
Thank you.
Salesforce has partnered with us to order product for everyone in the room today. So we're very excited to say that we have one of these. We have a handmade, hand-wrapped, all-natural soap, Organic Savannah soap for each and every developer in the room today.
Thank you.
So thank you, Salesforce. Pick this product up at the Trading Post down in the Trailhead room. Pick that up today. Now, what can you do with this soap? You can keep it, use it, enjoy it. You could also give it away. You could give this soap to someone, a neighbor, a colleague, a friend, and actually tell them the story. 100% of the proceeds of this soap is creating jobs in Kenya. It's funding education. That's real impact. And that's real sustainability. So really, I think we're creating a movement with products like this, social impact through social enterprise. You also can jump on our website. It's right there on the back of that piece of soap. You can order more soap. Christmas is coming. And for those of you that would like to invest in our community, why don't we hold up our phones today? I don't have my phone. We've got a lot of developers in the room. Some of you might have two phones. You can text to give. Text the word Kenya to 91999 and invest in what we're doing, invest in this movement. So thank you very much, Srini.
Thank you. Thanks for coming back. So I also know a lot of developers come to get a sneak preview of what we are coming in the future. So some of the things we are working on spring 18, the number one for me is change data capture. Change data capture coupled with platform events is really going to change the way you integrate with Salesforce. Einstein named entity recognition allows you to extract and categorize entities, and you can really build powerful applications on it. We're going to use a whole new set of base components where you can really build even more powerful interfaces. You've seen the dynamic home normal pages, like dynamic home and app pages are going to allow you to customize even better. Surveys is a great tool which we are going to release, and you can attach surveys with each and every object. These are just some of the things which are coming, so we're super excited with that. One of the other things that everybody asks me is how do we learn all these technologies, what you have shown in the demo, in the keynote. So we have created a new trail mix. So if you text devs to 64586, you'll get a customized trail mix where you can download the code, you can get the badges, and you can really understand the technologies we have showed here. So in summary, blaze your trail, build apps that customers love. Thank you.
You know, Salesforce has changed my life. I wrote a blog post about this a few years ago that I was never expecting to go, I guess, viral, but it did. And the blog post is titled, "The Best Thing I Built on Salesforce, My Career." And it's true.
I was an at-home mom.
I thought I was going to be the world's best pediatric surgeon.
I went to school for business.
I was not in this industry a couple of years ago.
I went to school to be a lawyer.
I was a cosmetologist and a hairdresser. If you would have asked me 15 years ago if I would have a career in technology, I would have told you were crazy.
You know, and it's not easy to put yourself out there. Think about what is it that makes you excited and happy and passionate.
What is it that I really love? Why do I like doing this stuff?
Maybe your passion is veterans, and your passion might be retail, or if you're in banking, you can really take what you learn in Salesforce and you can apply it to any industry.
That was an eye-opener for me. This is a huge universe. I can actually start to dream about what I want to do.
The power of the Salesforce platform allows you to do so many things. You can do so much with it.
I'm flying with Einstein. Woohoo!
The sky is the limit. The limit is your imagination.
We're going to bring our customer a level of service that is extraordinary.
That's what it's all about. It's all about the customer. I can now talk to case study example after case study example of where, with Salesforce, we've been able to pull this off. That's exciting.
That's where it's been life-changing. I never thought I had the ability to do that, and I think Salesforce is not only giving me technical skills, it's giving me confidence in myself to know that I can achieve these things.
Being a trailblazer is coming out first and clearing the path for others.
It's being the voice of the customer.
You're giving them something that they're looking for.
You're always making sure that the best technology is at their fingertips.
These tools actually push me to figure out what the best is every day.
All of that is not possible without an incredible tool like Trailhead.
The best thing about Salesforce and the smartest thing they've ever done is the community.
It is phenomenal.
The Trailhead community, it just takes you wherever you need to go.
I somehow found the user group, and I went in there, and I was actually hoping to pay somebody to help me, and all these people helped me for free. I will never, ever forget that feeling, and I remember that experience, and I try to recreate that for other people.
It's an amazing example of what an ecosystem can really do when it bands together and focuses on how we can all make each other better.
Where you can not only be proud of the work that you're doing, but the people you're doing it with.
That's the magic of Salesforce.
It's changed my life. It really has, and it's changed my company and the customers that I work with.
When your customers are happy, your company's thriving, and when your company's thriving, you're truly at your best. You're at the top of your game.
This is what I was meant to do my whole life.
Being your best is not only having a great career, but it's enabling others to have a great career. And I think that makes me my best.